somehow it just clicked with me, and I said, well, if I ever go free, I am definitely going to Yosemite. You know, it was all the way up. You know, there was no flattening out or nothing. You know, it tested me because it was very difficult. It was a great trip. I really enjoyed myself, although it was somewhat physically taxing at times. But you know, I used to watch National Geographic and the Traveling Channel, and that's why I fell in love with Yosemite. You know, especially the waterfalls. You know, they seem so enormous and so overpowering. So I always promised myself that if I ever went free, I would make sure I go and see it in person. And it was a great trip. You know, we went to one fall, I think it was Mata or something. It was all the way up, you know. There was no flattening out or nothing, you know. And, you know, a couple of times I had to stop, you know, but then somebody would come along, somebody in my age bracket, or some guy with a baby on his back or whatever, you know, and I'm like, hell no, I'm not going to stop, you know. I'm going to either get to this waterfall or I'm going to pass out trying to get there, you know. So, but I made it, you know, and I felt like it was a major achievement. You know, I've always, you know, as you get older, you always wonder what you lose, you know. And I think it felt very, very great to know that my will and determination has not changed, even though I've grown older. And I know I've changed somewhat physically, you know, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I'm as strong as I ever was. And, you know, there were times when I thought I was going to keel over, you know. But, you know, throughout the whole ordeal, never in my mind once did not getting to the top of that waterfall cross my mind, you know. And when I got there, you know, I can't tell you how great, you know. My life has been filled with so much pain and suffering and sacrifice, you know. So my moments in life have always been few. And that's one of the greatest moments in my life when I got to that waterfall. I think up until my 40s, early 40s, I began to become aware because of, you know, the programs, and I was getting Earth Journal and stuff, you know, and I began to see the senseless slaughter of animal life for pleasure and the destruction. Again, just, you know, it's like the mankind was doing something just because they could do it, because they had the technology to do it. It didn't have to make sense. And when they did it, they didn't take into consideration the environment. They didn't take into consideration, you know, the destruction that they were causing. You know, how they were changing the ecosystem. None of that came into their thinking. Just some way that they could make a profit. And you know, I consider myself to be a revolutionary. And I am for progressive change. There's no way I could continue to just look the other way at this. So at some point in time, you know, all of us, we agreed we had to add our voice to the environmental struggle in this country. You know, that it was just important as a social struggle inside cities and towns or whatever, you know.